Welcome to the show. It's always great to have you with us. This week, we continue our focus on powering Kenya. We're talking rural electrification. We get your views on the issues, and we have Africa's top 10. You're watching the Africa Leadership Dialogues. I'm Gichuru. This week on Africa Leadership Dialogues, we continue the focus on powering Kenya and take a look at rural electrification. This is a critical factor, a key engine of growth for the country. We're speaking to the Chief Executive Officer of the Rural Electrification Authority, Ngángá Munyu. Also with us is the Managing Director and the CEO of Kenya Power, Dr. Ben Chumo. The Rural Electrification Authority was established under Section 66 of the Energy Act 2006 as a body corporate. The corporate is mandated with accelerating the pace of rural electrification in order to promote sustainable socio-economic development in Kenya. Two main methods that are adopted in rural electrification are grid extensions for integrated areas and solar photovoltaic systems for areas located far from the national grids. Let's hear now from Ngángá Munyu and Dr. Ben Chumo. Thank you very much for joining us in this discussion as well. Let's talk a little bit about the impact of access to electricity on our rural communities. And we know for the longest time they have been out of the loop. So you're going into many areas where people previously didn't have this. What are you finding in terms of community response when you hit the ground, ability to afford power, and even community ownership of this new resource?
I would first of all like to start by thanking you for this opportunity. My experience in the rural areas is that when you go and take power there, people really appreciate, they are very happy that the network has reached their home, because in the past, electricity, I believe, was like a dream for many people. I remember in my own rural home, people never thought they would get electricity until they got it way back in 2003. So it is a real benefit to Kenyans. That's what I would say.
There have been challenges with, for instance, informal settlements, and Mr. Chumo can confirm that sometimes you face the challenges of cartels that have been in place already providing an alternative source of power. You find challenges of vandalism when the cables come in. Is this something you're experiencing or not? As you
what I would first of all like to clarify, in terms of cartels, Layer does not distribute power. It is KPOC who distributes power. So we don't have that challenge of cartels.
So they deal with that. They deal with all that.
Basically, what we normally do ourselves is to extend the network. After we complete and connect a facility, he comes over to sell electricity to you. So he's the one who is facing that challenge of cartels. But in terms of vandalism, that one is also affecting Layer. Yes. You find transformers are being vandalized, oil, conductors. So this is a common problem which is being addressed jointly by the government.
How are you addressing this situation?
One of the measures that has come up is welding of the transformer and also placing it on top of the HT line such that you cannot go on top, build the HT line, otherwise you'll be electrocuted. So these are some of the measures which we are also instituting.
So you've got an audience of millions watching you right now, and maybe a chance to speak to people who are now accessing the power. What would you say to communities? And please, I'll come to you as well, Ben. What have we learned in terms of ensuring that communities feel this is of benefit enough that we're not going to allow this to happen? What message would you deliver to them?
The message I would like to tell Kenyans is this is their project, and they should do everything possible to guard this facility. In fact, 3 years ago, what we used to do, we used to engage the community such that there is that ownership of the project we are doing. And in terms of vandalism, what else we are doing also transformers, we make sure we place a transformer within a compound of somebody, not just at the roadside. Right. Within a school where there's a watchman, or within your compound. And if it is placed within your compound, you are exempted from paying connection fee, because you'll be taking care of the transformer. So our message would be that Kenyans should take care of the facilities because it is theirs. These projects are implemented using taxes. It is basically Kenyans' property.
Let's come to you, Ben, and your experience. And with projects such as the Kibera project and many others, there's the question of ensuring communities own them. Ownership. How do you ensure that?
We at KPSC, we've had tremendous experience dealing with informal settlements. And for example, with the Global Partnership on Output-Based Aid that is supported by the World Bank, we started Kibera in 2012. And we received a lot of resistance from those who were trading in power illegally. And we were literally, the project almost collapsed. Until we came back to our drawing board and we thought we had better understood the reasons behind this resistance first. And what came out from that discussion back at KPSC was that there was need for ownership of the project from the word go by the community. The way we had done it in 2012 was that we had sent our contractors out there with our technical staff to build the lines, and as they were removing the illicit lines that were lying all over the place, that were being used by those communities. And they didn't work for us. We now have a new approach, and the approach is that we've gone to Kibera, we have met the leadership of Kibera, members of parliament, MCAs, and we were able to convince them that this project will benefit their people. And beyond that, Kibera community is building their network themselves. We have young men and women who are constructing their distribution network as they recover the illicit one. And so, why them? So that they can be able to own that particular project. And after the project is complete, and it's going on as we speak today, after the project is complete, we're going to recruit 150 young men and women, take them to our training school. We open offices there for maintenance of that network, and those young men and women will be based there to manage their network. And so the community will own that infrastructure, and they'll benefit from it. And so the ownership starts from the beginning of the project, and it's moving on extremely very well.
Does REA have an opportunity to do that? Have you done that on the ground? And also take us through what you have achieved so far that you would like Kenyans to know about in terms of access in areas, in specific areas.
Maybe I would start by asking you, do you know where REA was established? You as a jury.
I think it was established because we had a crisis in terms of access to electricity in rural areas and needed to go to work.
I think some of that's correct.
Okay, some of it.
I would start by saying that in 1973, the government established what is popularly known as the Rural Electrification Program. Okay. Basically, this is government subsidizing extension of electricity into the rural areas. And why did this happen? It is simply because the government realized without electricity, as a country, we can't go anywhere. Then what happened in 2002, the Ministry of Energy conducted a study, Household Energy Survey, which produced results which showed that connectivity in the rural areas was only 3.8%, despite having
3.8%,
despite having the program for over 30 years. So the government said we must come up with a new approach, and one of the approach was to remove that rural component from Kenya Power because they have other distribution component, and have a company strictly dealing with rural electrification. So then in 2006, under the Energy Act of number 12 of 2006, that's how REA was born.
What's your penetration today?
That's where I'm coming to now.
Okay.
So REA started operating in 2007. And what we did our first strategic plan, which we aligned to Vision 2030. And you heard the PS saying, energy is an enabler. The Vision 2030 had said, by 2013, all major public facilities have to be connected. So we started by doing public facilities. And basically we started the three main ones, a trading center, a secondary school, and a dispensary. That's where we started. We had a master plan which established that there were about 26,000 facilities in 2007, out of which half were connected. So we embarked on connecting the other half. By 2012, 2013, we had covered about 86% of the three main facilities. Then come 2013, the Jubilee government came in. the primary school program came in. So we first of all abandoned those facilities, we embarked on the primary school program. We have
but you had 20% still pending.
Yeah, we had still about 13% still pending for the public facilities.
Okay.
Now we embarked on the primary school program. We have about 22,000 primary schools. As we are talking, we have slightly over 1,000 still remaining to be connected. In terms of connectivity, I said in 2002 the rural areas connectivity was about 3.8. I think our estimate is slightly over 30% around now.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's incredible growth considering where we've come from.
And what is important to note is that if you go to any part of this country, you'll get some work going on. I heard you talking of the off-grid. Yes. We have done about 19 stations. If you go to a place like Wajir today, you may not know where that power is coming from when you're in a hotel room. But that is coming from a localized generator within that town. So we have about 34 in the country of that kind of, in the northern part of the country.
And it's very interesting because the needs change. I think I was in a forum with the governor of Wajir saying now we do have some limited access, but much improved from before.
Yes,
but he says now we want stronger, we want to access, is it phase?
Grid. They want to grid.
They want to get access to power that can totally transform their businesses. So let's come to the next phase, which I assume is once you connect the public facilities, you then are able to connect the homes around these facilities?
Now, within the same concept of the last mile, what we are doing also as a REA, as we are going to new public facilities, we'll be connecting a facility and connect everybody within that neighborhood. KPOC is going to the existing transformers, but ourselves, as we put new transformers, we are going to do the same last mile concept.
How many transformers over the next, for instance, let's say, how many already in place and maybe how many to be put in place by 2018?
We have about 26,000 public facilities still remaining to be connected. We are talking of a police post, a dispensary, a health center, a church, about close to that 1,000 still remaining.
Okay.
And for each of those, we'll connect the facility and then connect the households.
Stay with the Africa Leadership Dialogues.
My name is Ngángá Munyu, Maendeleo Wanawake National Chairperson. We have 4 million members as Maendeleo. And I'm just thinking, yes, we are at 15,000. How can we then have this loan? The things we've had are very good, but we want real. We are going to the ground. I want to be able to announce and tell the women, now we have power. So with 15,000 shillings, if we were to pay 500 shillings a month, then we are home and dry. So other than that is to say that we are looking for partnerships where we can say now we have power, the next thing we want to harvest water. So I don't think I have much to say, it's just to thank you most sincerely. Thank you very much.
My name is Godfrey Ali. I'm the chairman of the Kenya Wood Preservers Association. The people who do wooden poles. Yeah. Now my question is, the last mile project in procurement, is it turnkey projects, or you're going to buy the materials in a way, and just in case it is turnkey from what I've heard, is it how are you going to ensure that, because in the recent procurements we've seen that you've done very well, that procurement is basically spread. How are you going to ensure that everybody benefits in terms of those who have the poles? I operate a treatment plant in Homa Bay, those sites. How are you going to ensure that everybody benefits in a way if it's going to be turnkey?
Thank you.
Otherwise, I think I want to thank you very sincerely for this.
In the past, some similar projects, what we saw is that connectivity was not spread out evenly throughout the country. As Council of Governors, these are concern for us, and we're seeking assurances that indeed no area, no region in the country will be left out of this project. And the other comment, and I had the comment that indeed the initial work in Kibera was frustrated because it lacked grassroots support. And I just wondered whether this is an area where the implementing agencies could benefit by engaging county governments because they're already on the ground, and is indeed that's an area that we can contribute to make sure that the project is a success. So I also want to get some reaction on that as well.
Thank you so much.
I'm a young woman, a young engineer, a young Kenyan, and that is where my question is coming from. And you mentioned that in the last, say, 92 years, you connected 2.2 million Kenyans, but in the last year alone, you managed to do 1.6 million Kenyans. And this, to me, suggests that from this room, there is a lot of work that is present to be done. And having said that, I wanted to ask, with the magnitude of this project and the vision you have for this country, what element of this goes towards equipping the young people with skills to contribute effectively to this particular project?
Are you upscaling in terms of ensuring that even the people coming out of university have the right skills to come into place and do the work that needs to be done?
It is it's very true that we don't have adequate capacity rather we don't have enough engineers in the country. And this really goes back to the ministries of education. I think we have kept institutions that develop engineers at the levels that they have been over the years, and hence, the few engineers that are in the market are more or less like a drop in the ocean every year. But at KPLC, we have, for this project and others, and appreciating that the network is getting expanded every other year, we have, for the first time, over the years, we've been recruiting about 40 engineers per year to join our training school, who graduate after every year to join the workforce. Mm-hmm. But this year, we have taken 110, and we would be taking an additional number next year, capacity allowing of 150. And so we're doubling the numbers going forward so that they can be able to manage all these investments that are coming on. And we strongly believe that the country needs to support the programs that build capacity for engineers so that we can be able to manage not only this project but other projects. If you look at the capacity that is now being built at generation level, transmission level, before we come to distribution, we require a lot of engineers. And so it's very true that we have scarcity of engineers, and good ones at that. In fact, we now take more than 1 year at KPSC to kind of improve the quality of engineers to deliver quality work after graduation. We are partnering with the Institute of Engineers of Kenya to build some capacity center at our training school to be able to improve their capacity to be able to be aligned with the requirements of workplace. I think it's important that we from where we sit at KPSC, this project, if possible, should be done wholly by local contractors. Why? The project is very basic. There's no nuclear physics in this. We are talking about a pole, a conductor, labor and transport. Period, and you are done. And so, the way we define success of this project at KPIC is this. And this is why for the first time we are sitting here with our suppliers and contractors. And so this is really a breakthrough in terms of, and looking at the attendance, it's an excellent, kind of a piece of work. And so the way we define success of this project is this, that out of the 13.5 billion shillings, which is already at hand, and this additional amount from World Bank, 150 million US, we would like, when the project is over, to look at how much money of this loan, how much of it stayed in the country. That's how we should be able to define.
A lot of heads nodding in agreement.
Yes. But if we are going to receive this money from the World Bank or from NECATU, and all we do at KPSC is count and pay off to other countries, then how do we define success? I appreciate that capacity cannot be built for nothing. work must exist before workmen. And that's the natural flow of things. And so we need to encourage our contractors by giving them work first so that they can build the capacity for more. And looking at the trend that we've now had since the last about 2 years, I think we are gradually graduating towards taking additional work. And this particular project is going to be one of the test projects that should really test the capability of our contractors to consume such a large amount of money within a short time, as short as for the first phase, 18 months, 24 months. And so,
and to deliver quality.
Of course.
Yes.
Deliver quality. And I would like to propose at this early stage that, I've had occasions when some of our contractors tend to think that, look, it is so expensive to raise security, etc. I think that attitude should really be discouraged. That attitude presupposes that individuals are going to get into this project. I think joint venture is the best way to manage work like this level. So that if you have 5 or 6 or 10 of you, with all your capacity, logbooks, title deeds, etc., and I believe there must be some banks in the room, you should be able to get resources and marshal capacity and deliver these projects and discuss your individual interests later after the project is delivered. But if we want individually, then what I hear that we must lower security, all those requirements is actually basically saying we want to lower standards. We should compete internationally by getting organized locally.
Yeah.
Think international, implement this thing locally.
It's about scaling up.
Precisely.
And the mentality of a kiosk on every corner is it's work together, come together.
Put very well.
Yeah, thank you. Let me bring the question from Maendeleo to you now, sir, Mr. Ngángá. And the idea that perhaps people can access loans, and particularly an organization like Maendeleo ya Wanawake, which has such a huge base and is in the grassroots. Is there a way that they can access finance to make it easier for all these women to come onto the grid?
I think that question,
is
it's
best put
better.
for Ben?
Yeah,
okay, so we're back.
Yes.
We're back.
Yes, let's go back to the 15,000 shillings connection charge. I think that is where the Maendeleo Wanawake led, and I'm really very grateful, Madam, that you are here again. This is the kind of thing. That's what that is what leadership is all about. Being present and participating in some of these events. Now, looking at the 15,000 shillings charge, because we don't want, not even charge, charge actually, or contribution, because a charge sounds like a fee. It's a contribution towards this particular fund that the Ministry of Energy has established. If you look at, and if you listen to the peers, it is soon going to be more expensive for Kenyans not to be connected. Life is going to be more expensive without power than with power. And listen to this. Each one of us, among us here, have a minimum of 2 phones. Or can we say 1 for the sake of argument? And there is 1 outside here. Maybe a husband has 1, the wife has 1. So 2 phones are the minimum in a household. And those phones require to be charged. If you are connected, you'll be lucky. If you're not connected, you'll go to your neighbor household to get charged, to get that phone charged. That neighbor, on the average in the country at the moment, costs 20 shillings per charge. If you have 2 phones, it means 40 shillings daily. Times 31 days, how much is that? I'm talking about 1 item, phone alone. How much is it?
It's over 1,000 shillings. Yeah, 1,200 and... Yeah.
If you are connected, we would charge you, the government has given us a leeway. We shall program your prepaid meter to recover the loan within 36 months maximum. So 15,000 shillings divided by 36 months, about 415 shillings. Give consumption, say 200 per month. How much? Give our fixed charge for the meter, 150 shillings. That's about how much?
800.
And you have multiple usage for your power, ironing and name it. And so when is it not more expensive to be off the grid than on grid?
Thank you for that. And you know, that's not even mentioning the health implications of some of the energy sources that we've been using.
Okay.
Yes, please,
I
go
want
ahead.
to touch on my friend about the tank thing. As REA, we have two components of the last mile project. We have one funded by the Treasury, where we shall implement it directly as REA through procuring materials from you as suppliers. Then we have another component funded by Badea, which will be tanking. And what we are doing, we are encouraging our people like Kipisu here to team up with contractors so that they can tender as a joint venture. It's a $60 million project funded by the Arabs. So we have those two components. That's how we are going to do it. Then there was the issue of the even spread from my friend the governor.
Yes.
I would like to say that as REA, what we normally do, when we receive money from the government every year, we distribute this money by constituency. We have the CDF formula, which was used by Parliament to distribute funds across all the constituencies. It is the same formula we normally use to ensure that there is even distribution of electrification in the country. But for the northern part of the country, we also use an affirmative action where we also set aside some money because in those areas you need much more money than in the other areas. So I would like to assure the governor there is even spread of connectivity in the country.
That's great. The governor also mentioned, you know, the importance of perhaps working with the county structures in place. Is that happening?
Yes, the governor can confirm that. I visited him sometime 2 years ago in Uganda. As part of the engagement, I went to Taita Taveta because we have been working with members of parliament and also the county governments. As we are talking now, we have implemented projects jointly funded by REA and the county government of Kisumu, Machakos, Bomet, Garissa, and Kitui. So in essence, we are working together with all the stakeholders.
A big round of applause, please, for our panelists.
Stay with the Africa Leadership Dialogues.
No doubt you may have many questions on Powering Kenya. Let's continue the conversation on Twitter at AfricaLD or at Julie Gichuru, hashtag Powering Kenya. Now, your views on the issues.
This week we asked you, does the private sector offer solutions to the social economic development of a country? Justin Chalo says, the private sector plays a key role of complementing the government in development initiatives. The private sector can also play a supplementary role, and this is according to classical theorists who argue that too much government intervention in markets promotes rent-seeking activities.
My name is Juguna Martin, and I'm watching Africa Leadership Dialogues from Kiambu County. Private sector is a critical driver of economic growth because it is responsible for around 90% of employment in the developing world. The private sector provides critical goods and services. It is the source of most tax revenues and is key to ensuring the efficient flow of capital. Thank you.
To join our conversation, go to our G+ page, Africa Leadership Dialogues, on Facebook, Africa Leadership Dialogues, on Twitter, at AfricaLD, and on WhatsApp, send your video comments to +254 715 816 033.
And it's time now for Africa's Top 10.
This week on Africa's Top 10, we feature countries with world-class infrastructure projects. The aim of the research was to highlight world-class infrastructure projects that balanced solving problems of society today while preparing for demands of the future. This is according to the KPMG. Starting us off at number 10 is the Nigeria High-Speed Rail. This 3,218-kilometer network will link Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, Warri, Bauchi, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. The project will be financed by China's Export-Import Bank and is set to boost economic activity in that region. Coming in at number 9 is the Lapset Project East Africa. The 2,935-kilometer stretch will link the port of Mombasa with Tanzania, Rwanda, and South Sudan. Taking the 8th position is the Trans-Saharan Natural Gas Project. This facility is earmarked to become the world's most expensive energy project pipeline, transporting natural gas from Nigeria via Niger to Algeria, then on to Spain and the rest of Europe. At number 7 is the Jinja Bridge in Uganda. The 525-meter-long cable-supported crossing is projected to cost $125 million. The Jomo Kenyatta International Airport Terminal in Kenya comes in at number 6. The project is set to cost an estimated $654 million with a capacity to handle 20 million passengers annually. Square Kilometre Array in South Africa comes in at number 5. The project's aim is to build the world's largest radio telescope and will cost $900 million. At number 4 is the Boregreg Valley Development Project. The project, estimated to cost $1 billion, comprises a port, marina, residential, commercial, cultural and leisure precincts and is situated on the banks of the Boregreg River between the cities of Rabat and Saleh. Taking the 3rd position is the North-South Africa Corridor. The $1 billion project is designed to connect South Africa to Zambia and the DRC and Botswana to Malawi, with more than 10,000 kilometers of road networks. At number 2 is the Kudu Gas Field and Combined Cycle Gas Turbine in Namibia. The $1.1 billion project seeks to harness 1.3 trillion cubic feet of gas on Kudu fields. And at number 1 this week is the Praza Rolling Program in South Africa. It aims at building 600 new trains over a period of 10 years and is valued at $4.6 billion. And that's Africa's Top 10 this week.
As always, we leave you with words of wisdom. This African proverb goes, "Wherever a man goes to dwell, his character goes with him." Blessings to you and blessings to Africa.